Nonverbal communication or body language is a vital form of communication. When we interact with others, we continuously give and receive wordless signals. All of our nonverbal behaviors, such as the gestures we make, the way we sit, how fast or how loud we talk, how close we stand, how much eye contact we make, send strong messages. Our words and our actions are related. In fact, verbal and nonverbal communication goes hand in hand. They are connected together in every act of communication. This table shows how using both forms of communication can help a listener understand the message's complexity, flow, clarity, impact, and intentionality to the fullest extent. Humans use nonverbal communication due to the following reasons. A separate communication channel is necessary to help send complex messages. A speaker can add a lot to the complexity of the verbal message through simple, nonverbal signals. Words have limitations. There are numerous areas where nonverbal communication is more effective than verbal communication. Nonverbal cues express inner feelings, whereas verbal messages deal basically with the outside world. Nonverbal messages are likely to be more genuine because nonverbal messages cannot be controlled as easily as a spoken word. Nonverbal signals can express feelings inappropriate to states. Social etiquette limits what can be said, but nonverbal cues can communicate thoughts.
Throughout this PowerPoint, the term nonverbal behavior will be used a lot. This nonverbal communication includes, but is not limited to, facial expressions, eye contact, body language, gestures, physical appearance, and vocalics, including tone, pitch, and speed.
Repeating occurs when nonverbal behaviors duplicate the content of a verbal message. In other words, a communicator uses a behavior which matches the verbal subject matter in order to strengthen the message. In this example, pointing at an object, in this case a person, helps the listener understand and remember the message.
Substituting is defined as a nonverbal behavior that takes the place of a verbal message. When a behavior replaces a spoken response, substituting has occurred. These behaviors include facial expressions, posture, gestures, and so on. In this example, a child is asked what she thinks about ordering pizza for dinner. She won't have to say a word with that expression because her excitement says for sure. Nonverbal communication can be useful when a communicator is reluctant to share his or her own opinions in words, but sometimes substituting can be more ambiguous and less intentional.
Complimenting is a nonverbal behavior that reinforces the verbal message. It entails using a behavior that supports the message. An expression of guilt and sadness allows the listener to understand that the puppy is very sorry for what he did, as opposed to the puppy smiling while apologizing.
Accenting is nonverbal behaviors that emphasize part of a verbal message. It is using a behavior to highlight part of a spoken message. In the bungee jumping example, a person emphasizes the fact that there's absolutely no way this is going to happen. But if the communicator to say something like, "There is no way I'm going to do that," or "There's no way I'm going to do that," the sentence would be completely different.
Regulating is a function of nonverbal communication in which nonverbal cues control the flow of verbal communication among individuals. To summarize, it is nonverbal behaviors that control the flow of conversation. They tell us when it is our turn to talk. In their example, at the end of the question, the communicator probably made eye contact, and the pause indicated by the question marks let the listener know it is their turn to speak.
Contradicting is nonverbal behavior that is inconsistent with a verbal message. It happens when people say one thing, but their behavior doesn't match it. This bird seems really mad, but he's saying that he's not. His behavior does not match his message at all. This bird is demonstrating a mixed message, in which his words are incongruent with his normal behavior.
Deceiving is also known as leakage. It is nonverbal behaviors that reveal information the communicator does not disclose verbally. Interestingly, some cues are more revealing than others. These cues are known as deception cues. Deception cues are nonverbal behaviors that signal the untruthfulness of verbal message. Facial expression tends to be less informative than body language, but the most useful is the voice. It is easy to tell when deception cues are likely to be used. If the communicator wants to hide emotion, feels strongly about information being hidden, feels guilty about being deceptive, etc. However, if the communicator is hiding information unrelated to their emotions, has no strong feelings about the subject, and has little guilt, it is unlikely they will use deception.
Knowledge of the several factors of nonverbal communication allows us to improve how we communicate to others using both nonverbal and verbal methods. Context has been taken from Looking Out, Looking In, Edition 3, Chapter 6, pages 252 through 259.